Hi, welcome to episode 22. And today we're getting pretty close to the end, aren't we?
We are getting
this book.
Yeah, pretty close to the end of this book. Yeah, we still have a few more chapters. Yeah.
All right. So, well, excited.
But a lot of material to cover.
Oh, okay.
Especially today. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the last episode, Yeshua was visiting the sources of the Ganga River, right?
Right.
And he met those 7 riches.
The ones who are blessing the water.
Right. The one who are blessing and elevating the vibrations of the water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those 7 riches, gave him a message. I mean, at least the message that was given to us is that he needs to take care of his body and feed himself correctly.
Okay.
And rest.
Okay. Because we're going to find out that he wasn't really.
Not really, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So after, meeting those people, Yeshua is going to go down in the valley again. And the return is very difficult. He's enduring torrential rains, scorching sunshine at times. It's very contrasted there. Mm-hmm. And he finally arrived at a place which is called Arid War, which is another holy place where the pilgrims come to celebrate Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, the Trinity.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So they have the Trinity too.
Mm-hmm. And somehow, Yeshua always ends up in those sacred places.
Right. I don't know how he does that.
I don't know how he does it. Yeah. But again, for our audience, to help them, we will be posting different maps, clearly showing all his different itinerary. It's quite complicated.
Okay,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's important.
He does get around, I have to say.
Oh my gosh, it's just amazing what he does. Yeah. Yeah. So Arid War at that time was just 2 or 3 little temples. And people will see with the new pictures, of course, now it's a rather large city.
Right.
And Yeshua is going to stay there 1 month. He's feeding from what is given in the temples. Remember that the Indian temples always offer some kind of food twice a day for all the pilgrims and the people who are traveling, okay? So he's using that, and he's trying to remain also unnoticed as much as possible, again, his humble nature
humble nature and his experiences when he does try to
yes exactly, yeah.
Show who he is
and what he thinks, yeah.
Right.
And this is difficult again because he's wearing that white robe of the Essene, which is not very common in India.
He really stands out then,
yes,
right?
He does, yeah. Because of his stature, also, they're being tall, and the fact that he's healing, But overall, nobody is asking many questions about his origin and how he performs all the healing miracles.
Okay, you're saying he's still healing from the burns?
No, he's healing people with his hands.
Oh,
the burns are completely...
Okay, I thought you said something about him.
Yeah.
He's still healing. Healing people.
He's healing people.
Oh, okay, okay. The burns are already
Oh, yeah. The burns were fixed the day after.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe there might be some remnants,
No. No, he's just, still... creating from his hands the salt and the substances that the people need
like
to
it's
heal.
like he's got to do it and it's not. Yeah. Wow.
So, over the period of a month, his strength is coming back and his body is replenishing itself. So this is all good for him. And one day, as he was sitting somewhere, a bold sadhu approaches him. Okay, and that man is totally...
Can you remind people what a sadhu is?
Yeah,
again?
so a sadhu is a person who has renounced everything.
Okay.
He goes with not even clothes and goes through the path in India, from one holy place to another holy place.
Just naked.
This one was completely naked,
Wow.
but his skin was entirely covered with ashes.
Oh.
So it's got some kind of
Yeah, he's got a little cover.
little cover. And without introducing himself, he bows in front of Yeshua, and he says in the language of Meru Vardhana, which is the language of the Dol Lake, where they stayed a long time. Swami, I have a message for you from your brother. You know him. His name is Babaji.
Oh, here we go, Babaji.
So,
love it.
Hearing that, Yeshua smiles again.
Yeah.
He knows that this moment would come. He was expecting it, somehow.
Yeah.
And the sadhu goes, you know him, right? He's telling you that you must go to Shamballah, to the west, using the plains, walking on the plains. Once you are there, go north, and you can ask. They will give you directions. So Yeshua was sitting, right? So he tries to get up just to thank the person, the sadhu. And when he's standing up, there is nobody in front of him.
Oh my gosh.
The sadhu vanished
An
instantly.
apparition, huh?
Yes. So that makes Yeshua smiles again because he knows, he's now fully convinced that this was a trick from Babaji himself.
He is a little magician now,
Oh yeah,
Babaji.
he's more than a little magician. Yeah. So the following day, now he has a next goal, basically, a next place where to go, Shamballah. And the following day, Yeshua bases one last time in the Ganga River. This is the last time in his life that he will be bathing in this river, sacred river. And he starts walking to Shamballah. And arriving in Shamballah, Yeshua was expecting a very small village, at the bottom. A decent village, but at the bottom of the village, instead, was just a few houses built on the side of the mountain. It's very, very small, just a few people. And so he's a little bit confused. It's late in the day. So he asked a man who was unloading a few mules, probably after a day of work, where is located the road of the gods? Because that's where he's supposed to go, right?
Okay.
And the man responds, oh, no. Only the mads and the pilgrims go there.
The mads?
The mad people.
Oh, the crazy people.
The crazy people, yeah. And the pilgrims, take this road. You have to take the path to the north. And so the man looks into Yeshua's eyes and he says, oh, but you're more than a pilgrim, right? I guess from his gaze, he can tell that he's not a regular pilgrim.
Right.
There is something else. You know what? You cannot leave now. It is way too late. I have a place in my home where you can sleep for tonight. I also have some warm clothes and you will take them with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would be crazy to let you go like that. Did you look at your blanket? It's all torn up,
Right.
No, it's not possible.
Right.
Decently, I cannot let you go like that.
So is he referring to his clothing as a blanket?
No, not the clothing, the blanket that he uses to sleep.
So he does have a blanket with
him. He has
him.
a blanket,
Okay.
which is probably wrapped around his shoulder or his neck.
Right.
And he has his little bag, But again, this has been seeing a lot of use.
Yeah, it has.
After many, many months of walking, So once again, that episodes makes Yeshua realize that everything is taken care of, right?
You just got to stay on the path.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
He's going with the flow of his divinity.
Yeah.
And the synchronicity, what we call the synchronicity, is functioning perfectly.
Yeah. Life is so much easier when you do that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
When you're fighting it, that's when you end up in all the wrong roads.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Yeshua realized also something else. He realized that he's the one who is creating all this because he's following his life path. It goes both ways, right?
Right.
When you are following your path, synchronicity works in your favor.
Right.
But you're also creating that synchronicity because you're on the right path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everything's falling into place.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the next morning, Yeshua leaves the man who only asked, for a blessing.
Aww.
Yeah, in return, he's giving him, an extra pair of shoes, of boots, a blanket, a coat, a very good coat. And the only thing he asks is, just a blessing. And of course, Yeshua is happy to provide it. Yeah.
Would have done it without being asked.
Yes,
right?
probably. And so Yeshua is going to start the grueling walk into the mountains, and his legs and his back are really suffering. And again, we will be posting a map showing the very difficult path that he's taking, So now we are in the mountains. This is more than the foothills of the Himalayas. We are in the Himalayas. And our Yeshua is going by himself with no modern equipment, And I was looking at some pictures of that place, because it's a famous, now it's a famous pass for alpinists and stuff like that.
Right.
And the people are going there have, all kind of modern equipment, the latest in clothing, It makes you wonder at that time how they could do it.
How he could do it.
Yeah.
And to really not even know when the end is.
Yes,
right?
having no GPS, no
you have
maps.
no idea how long this is, how long that path is until
exactly.
you get there.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that 7-mile path, and it's like we know when it's going to end. Right? It's a different feeling.
Yeah. So the only good stuff is like he has now a very warm coat and an extra pair of boots for his feet. So it's a good thing to do. Right. And then after a few kilometers and miles of walking, he realized that he's on the road of the gods. And the reason is because the pass has a bunch of little stupas built all along. It's like markers.
Right.
So you just have to pinpoint the next stupas, and you're on the right.
It's like the little tags they put on the trees, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There are painted rocks, and he also finds 2 men and a woman that are chanting mantras. So those 3 extra people are also on the road of the gods. Yeah. And so Yeshua and the 3 pilgrims are introducing themselves, and they decide to walk together, of course, I mean, okay. It's a lot safer when you are a group than by yourself. Yeah. And they are dressed with very colorful clothes, probably maybe Nepalese or Tibetan style of clothing.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is very contrasting very boldly with Yeshua, who's wearing his
stand out a little
white.
more.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so they're going to be walking together for weeks, literally. Okay. And the pass apparently is extremely dangerous, with cliffs and very narrow ledges to hold on and walk. And they're going to be crossing torrents and roaring rivers, and sometimes they have to cross, with their feet. Sometimes they are doing with suspended bridges with ropes, something very unstable. Yeah.
Wow.
And Yeshua is aware of the constant danger and the risk of his walk, But he's also enjoying the incredible view of the high mountains.
Oh, I bet it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Covered with snow and so close to him. I mean, finally, he's in the heart of the Himalayas now. So this is serious. And everything is transformed and exacerbated by the altitude and the mountains, the purity of the air.
Right.
So the colors are different. The clarity of your thoughts also are different. It's much,
high altitude,
high
thinking.
The exercise, the oxygenation of the body and everything.
Right.
Even the quality of his dreams are improving. Every stone, every animal encountered remind Yeshua of the divine. And I know our audience can probably agree with that, but when you're walking in the mountains, you see things differently, right? There is a certain elevation of your mind and a soul that makes you look at the regular world with a little bit of a distance.
Well, yeah, you are pretty distant from the world too,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And he definitely is. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it comes to a point where Yeshua knows that he has arrived. It was there and somewhere and nowhere else. He feels it inside himself, And there are just rocks, a few trees, and a couple of very old and derelict constructions on the side, made with stones around the stupa. So there is a stupa and a couple of, 4 or 5 little homes, built around it. And the sun and the moon is painted on the stupas. Okay. So for people who are wondering where this location is in the Himalayas, it is the current location of the monastery of Hemis. So, of course, the monastery did not exist when Yeshua was there, but was later on, a few centuries later, was built on the location.
Well, I'm sure it was sacred
yes,
ground,
yeah,
right?
Exactly, yeah. So Yeshua's traveling companions, are continuing, and they're going to continue walking until they reach the Indus River. Yeah. This is their destination, basically.
Okay.
And so they all part, with silent complicity. I mean, they know that they all have something to do.
Right.
Which is very personal, yeah. And so Yeshua is going to walk to the small constructions, and he hears a door opening, like maybe there was some, hinges not properly lubricated. And there is a tall man on the threshold of the door. And the tall man has long brown hair and a very dense beard, and his eyes are the color of the obsidian.
Oh, okay. Very dark.
Very dark, yeah. And Yeshua looks at the man, and immediately a name pops in his mind. And he says, Brother Morya.
Oh.
And the man responds, Brother Sananda.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about...
We're talking about, yes,
the ascended,
who will become the Ascended Master, El Morya.
El Morya,
yes, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. The master of
Do you have a picture of him that you'll show?
I do have a picture.
Okay,
yes, I
good.
will show a picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's quite handsome.
He's quite handsome, and he's quite a very strong,
powerful,
very powerful. Yeah. So he's at that time you had a different name, but which has not been given to us in the Akashic memories. But now he's better known as the Ascended Master El Morya, and he's the Kohan, the responsible for the first ray, the ray of power and order.
Okay.
And surprisingly, El Morya is also wearing the white robe of the Essenian fraternity.
Okay.
So he welcomes Yeshua into a little room, and he sits with him. And El Morya tells Yeshua the following. He said that he was in Egypt at Nitan Tor when Yeshua was still just a toddler.
Oh, okay.
When he was recognized as an avatar by the Egyptians.
So he was one of the people that were there.
He was one of the people who was in the group.
Okay, because there was a whole, like a council.
Yes, exactly.
When he was there.
Exactly, yeah. We know that there was Yosheram, but there was also El Morya in that group, yeah. And so Yeshua and El Morya are going to be starting talking about the structure that Yeshua wants to give to his teaching, because again, he's 22 years old, going 23, and he's thinking about what is he going to teach and what kind of message is he going to propagate and spread to humankind, This is right now.
He has a lot to say, but I guess it's just trying to get it condensed in the right format for people to accept.
And El Morya reveals something very interesting. He tells Yeshua that all the forces of Shamballah and of Elohim are helping him in his extreme endeavor. So again, for our audience, I think it's important to realize that El Morya is normally sitting in Shamballah, the famous fifth dimensional city,
located. We're all trying to reach.
Located in somewhere in the center of the earth.
Even if it's in our dreams.
And El Morya invites Yeshua to eat, after talking, now it's time to eat. And El Morya tells Yeshua that there is a place where you can get all the food you need. And I'm sure Yeshua is very surprised.
Right.
And he tells him, it is called the Cellars of God. You just have to invoke it and know how to get it. And so El Morya, sits down and he starts moving his hands on the floor using a certain pattern, And the following is materialized. So apparently, according to the memories, flatbreads are happening. Fresh vegetables prepared in a plate.
I need to learn how to do that.
So the vegetables are already ready to be consumed. You don't have to cook them or anything.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Some small bowls of rice. Some dried fruits. And El Morya is pushing the meal to even have some wine from Judea in a glass bottle.
Oh my gosh.
A wine from the country
From the
of
country.
Yeshua.
Right.
Yeah, in a glass bottle.
Wow.
So
I bet the cleanup's real easy too.
yes.
Go on.
So Yeshua knew about those techniques. He has heard about them, but he had never dare or never tried that type of creation. And he knows that while he's healing, his hands are producing that oil or the substance, or the crystals that the people need. But he had never tried to produce food like that.
I bet he'll be in a cave somewhere just trying to manifest that.
So I think for our audience, it's important to realize that this is how everything on the planet is manifested. Okay.
Well, it's a matter of believing, right? Too.
Well, it's a matter,
and being in a higher state of consciousness. And
obviously,
believing,
But what they do, they use the particle of the etheric world. Okay, so we are familiar with the material world, but there is another dimension that provide energy to everything we do to us. But also to the plants, to the animals, to everything is created with etheric energy, okay? And what you have to do, you have to gather those molecules and create matters. So the way it works, and this is the definition of the miracles, first you have to think, you have to create the thoughts of what you want to see. And so Morya was basically creating the meal that they were going to share together, right? And then you have to use the etheric light and the energy to create a form. And then that form is going to gather physical molecules and particles that are floating around us and combine them into something which is tangible.
Interesting.
So this is how a miracle is made.
Okay.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that the same applies exactly to the development of the fetus in the mother's womb, right?
Right. I was thinking that too. That's how probably we're created, right?
Right. Researcher and scientists know that the cells divide itself, right?
Right.
But it's one thing to divide itself and reproduce itself, but it's another thing to create a human body with all its specific stuff, all the different type of tissues, the organs, the skin, the eyes, and everything, in the brain. So what I wanted to say is that before the fetus is created, the etheric matrix of the future baby is already in the womb of the woman.
Oh.
And so the womb is actually using...
It's like a blueprint.
That blueprint, exactly. Yeah. Perfect definition. Yeah. That etheric blueprint.
Right.
And gathering material from the food and the bloodstream of the mother to fabricate the physical body.
We're amazing.
Oh, no.
I mean, you guys are amazing too, but we're pretty amazing.
And that makes me think about the insanity that we just went through, right? Where a man was supposed to be able to carry a baby. No, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
No, you have to have a uterus.
Yeah. He was trying to create one. I think that's what they're trying to do. But
So
anyway,
again, that's just
another subject.
Oh my gosh.
Well, let's not touch on that.
Yeah, why did I even mention that?
I know.
Any creation in the physical is made in the same way, if you think about a scientist or an engineer developing something, first, it is developed in his mind, right? And then they do blueprints, they put it, and then, somehow he gathers elements and physical pieces, parts, metal parts, and, to make it happen.
Right.
So in this case, it's another level of creation, of course. Yeah. And the secret to do that, to do those miracles, is to have absolutely no doubt, a very sharp will, without any stress and pressure. You know that you're going to do it, but there is no pressure to make it happen.
Right.
Absolutely. You have to have a perfect vision of the finished product. You have to, encompassing everything, all aspects of it. So when Morya was creating the bottle of wine, you had to create the container and then the wine with its flavor, color, and everything, you know?
Right.
And then the knowledge that it has already been received.
Okay, it's already done.
It's already done. Yeah.
It's just a matter of you manifesting it in your
Right,
mind, right?
exactly.
Because your mind has to first.
Yeah. This is the power of the human mind. Yeah. Very, very powerful. Unfortunately, our education is doing everything they can to diminish that.
Right. Educate. Yeah. We'll go dive into that. But
from that day and that encounter with El Morya, Yeshua is going to start materializing the food that he needs, but only when it is really needed, when he cannot find any source of food. Okay. Again, we know Yeshua. We know how humble and careful and, very trying to save everything he has. So he will only manifest it when he's in desperate need.
Right.
Yeah. And
I would be doing it all day long.
and probably selling it,
I'd
right?
probably leave like a plate for somebody somewhere. You know me with cooking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And we will see in the future, later on, when he creates food, as recounted by
that's
some
right.
of the text,
The fish and the
he
loaves.
always does it very discreetly to a point where nobody realizes what he's doing. Yeah. And again, this is a lesson learned from his previous incarnation as Zarathustra.
Incognito kind of.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so this was a major step in the development of Yeshua. That encounter with El Morya was absolutely pivotal. And so they're going to be spending the night talking about and elaborating things for the future. And interestingly, the author of the book are telling us that what was discussed cannot be revealed today, 2,000 years later. So I'll leave it as a cliffhanger. We don't know.
Mystery.
We don't know what was discussed. But 2,000 years later, humans are not ready for what was discussed by those two individuals, those two brothers of the Shamballah fraternity. Yeah, so we have to realize that for Yeshua, this encounter with El Morya is as important as the encounter he had with Elohim, the extraterrestrial, right?
Right.
And also with Babaji. And again, we will meet those Elohim and Babaji in the future again.
Oh, good.
And it is a confirmation of the indivisible links that connect the brotherhood of Shamballah. Okay. Or what they call the fraternity of the high peaks. High peaks being the Himalayas.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the morning, El Morya is going to leave Yeshua. And Yeshua is going to basically stay in the place where El Morya received him. And he realized that around the stupa there are a few other constructions, and there are 5 monks living there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So in that place, I mean,
Okay.
I think you have to picture it. There is a stupa in the middle, and then 6 little homes. When we say home, it's more like a cell, a room,
Right.
And there are those 5 monks, living in this tiny, tiny hamlet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And one after the other, they are introducing themselves to Yeshua, and they are not at all surprised to see him. It's like, okay, they were expecting him. They knew he would be coming one day or the other. So what I wanted to say also is that Yeshua does not know it yet, but he's going to stay 3 years. 3 years.
3 years there.
In this little hamlet with those 5 monks.
I guess he needs to learn how to make his own food, right? To
Yes.
manifest all of that.
And he will learn other stuff
Because it
as
doesn't
well.
sound like they have gardens or any other way of being able to feed
No,
themselves.
it's way too high in altitude. It's only rocks and
Right.
a few. And these monks are following shamanic rituals, which are derived from the extremely old, the Bon religion. So for people who have studied Tibetan and Buddhism, I mean, the Bon is the ancestor of all this.
Oh,
rituals.
okay.
It's
Okay.
totally shamanic. It has nothing to do with religion. And their rituals, as you may have seen on videos and stuff like that, they include some songs, the prayers, dances with masks, even pieces of skeletons, and bones. So it seems very
Primitive.
very primitive and very repulsing for us, but that's how it is for them. There is nothing wrong with that. And so at the beginning, Yeshua is observing them. He's a little bit surprised, but little by little he's joined them and he starts singing and dancing and chanting and all this stuff. And it comes to him that he thinks that, oh my gosh, if the priest in Judea
See me now.
and Galilee could see me now, what would they think,
Oh, if they could only see me now. Yeah.
And Yeshua is really enjoying the love for the divine, that these monks have. They are very simple, the simplicity, they are always happy, and it's very communicative. I mean, he's really appreciating that. And I guess, he stayed 3 years, so he must have been
Okay.
very happy with
Right.
the neighbors. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And all of them are trying to pierce the illusion behind the illusion itself.
Oh,
So they are trying to go
beyond.
Maya, but even beyond that, another level. Yeah. And they respect life in all its forms, insects or speck of grass, everything is precious in those altitudes and in those deserts. And all this goes, for Yeshua, it goes way beyond what Yeshua learned in Egypt or even in the Carmel school, And so the most difficult part is really the winters.
I would say.
Because they're endless,
Yeah.
and each monk stays in his cell for a long time. So during the winter time, they only meet once a week.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So, you have to imagine that there are probably feet and meters of snow all around them, and it's very difficult to get out.
I guess it would be.
Yeah. And they're all cloistered in their room, in meditation. And what Yeshua is learning the breathing technique and the visualization technique of something called tumo. And for the people who have been following Alexandra David Neal, I think she's the first one who talked about this practice. It is the practice to create enough heat to sustain your life in cold weather.
Oh, okay.
And Alexandra David Neal recounts that she even saw the monks practicing the tumo and melting the snow in an area around them.
I remember reading something like that before too. Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
Yeshua is learning those techniques again, because the winters are extremely
survive.
harsh. Yeah,
Right.
and this is the only way you can really
Boy, that'll
survive.
definitely make you learn fast.
And so they are basically hermits. They are exploring every nook and cranny of their body and consciousness at this point. Yeah. And one day during the winter, one of the hermits does not show up for their weekly meeting.
Oh.
So they go to his room, wondering what's going on, and they found him sitting straight with a big smile on his lips, eyes wide open, but he was dead.
Oh my gosh.
He left his vehicle.
Oh my gosh. I wonder what he saw before he left, because he had a big smile on his
Well,
face.
I guess he was probably seeing some very nice
really beautiful.
landscape on another plane. Yeah. So, without telling anybody, without suffering or anything, it just during a meditation, it's similar to the people who are dying in their sleep, right? It's the best way to go.
Right. Absolutely.
And so Yeshua and the 4 remaining monks are going to do a small ceremony, and they use a little damaru, which is a little tambourine. It's a little drum which has two drums, and there are 2 balls which are hitting the 2 drums.
I have one of those.
Kids usually, I remember my kids, they used to have one, and they played with it, And they're going to bury that monk in the ice, for the time being. and in the springtime, they will give his body to the vultures.
Okay.
And that's how it is made, yeah.
Okay.
That is the only way you can actually get rid of a physical body in those places. I mean, the dirt is the dirt. The rocks are too hard.
Too hard.
You cannot
There's no
dig it.
wood.
There is no wood. You cannot
Yeah.
cremate. So they actually put the body usually on a vantage point, and the birds are taking care of it. So again, I was able to find some picture, and we will post that to illustrate the feast of the birds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And this is a reminder of the impermanence of the human body, right?
Yeah,
and it's quite a contrast with our culture where, death is, oh my gosh, you have to sanitize everything. You have to remove all the fluids. You have to preserve the body at all costs, right?
Right.
For them, no. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing dirty.
You came in this way, you leave in that way.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That makes more sense.
It's so much more natural, yeah.
Yes.
So it is during those intense periods in the wintertime, of meditation and solitude that Yeshua is going to define the basis of his teachings. And it was an inner voice which is actually pushing those ideas into him, okay? It's not his mind or his ego. And he wants to come with a new set of words, because they are already religion. I mean, Yoshiri, also known as Osiris, Jagannatha, Rama, Akhenaton, Moses, Gautama, before Yeshua, have tried all this, right?
Yes,
and
that's
including Zarathustra as a previous incarnation of Yeshua, right? They all have tried to come up with some kind of solution to reach people and to help lift humankind to another level, okay? So he's thinking about what can be done, how should I approach it?
Well, it's so hard because everybody's on a different level, right?
Well, yeah.
So how do you touch on to that?
That's the incredible experiment of this planet.
Yes.
It's putting people from different origins and different levels all together, and hope for the best.
God bless them. Yeah.
So Yeshua is thinking, of course, the important part in his head is love, okay? And again, he's trying to do that for the people whose heart is open and they can listen to it.
Right.
And his point is that Awun, again, the creator, must get out of the temples and move into the hearts of human beings. So, God needs to get out of the churches and the temples and the mosques, and move into your heart. God must not be hidden behind the statues, deities, idols,
Right.
It has to be a living things.
Right.
And so he's wondering, how can I define Awun or God, the creator for the mind of humans? Could it be approached like a father or a mother, an absolute presence that can be touched without offerings, priests, or temples,
Right. Right.
No middleman.
Right. No sacrifices.
No sacrifices, no gifts, something directly between you and the Creator.
Right.
And so Yeshua is is such a high level of an advancement, of spiritual advancement and development, that he's wondering if he's dreaming, if that solution will be accepted. Because for him, it seems very simple.
It's so easy, natural.
Right, but for us, it's another story, right? So he said that the love for God must explode, as the most beautiful and purest thing that can be found.
I agree.
And the memories are revealing that Yeshua cried an entire night.
Oh, yeah. Just thinking about that?
Just thinking about it while going inside himself to find something which would be simple, transparent, bold, pure, and perfect to tell and teach humankind. Yeah. So he's defining the three pillars of his teachings in the following way. So there is the will, the love, and the patience. So we're going to go through each one of them. And I've tried to translate his words, as much as possible.
So the surrender,
again,
right?
Yeah.
The surrender.
Well, not the surrender, the will,
it's almost,
the love, and the patience.
I guess you want to still have free will.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, these are these words. It's not my interpretation or anything like that, okay?
You just interpret it from French.
Yes. Yeah. So, and again, the important thing for Yeshua is that he has to convince each human being that saying, I believe, and then conform to a set of rules is not enough to reach eternal light. And I think, unfortunately, this is where we are now today.
Well, it's so hard. I mean, people are living their lives. They got to go to work. They're working 40, 50 hours a week. They have 3 kids, soccer. It's kind of hard for people to get there.
Yes.
So it's easier to go to church and get what you think you might need. And it's really not what you need. I mean, for some people it is. However, they need to work that out. But they have to go deeper. It definitely has to be a deeper...
Yeah, so for Yeshua, to believe is nothing or so little. He said, humans must stop embracing opinions without asking some real questions.
Right.
So, again, I'm picturing people going to churches or mosques or anything, following rituals and listening to the preacher or the priest. You have to go beyond that and ask yourself, okay, are the stories being told to us? Does it make sense? Is it true? What am I gaining from that? These are the type of question we should be asking. Yeah.
And nowadays, we really have to question everything.
Yes.
To question everything.
Everything, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
There's been so many lies told, and so.
Yeah, you're right. So much is revealed, and in the politics, in the politic world, but also religious world.
So many things that are being explored right now, and things aren't adding up.
No. So what Yeshua wants, really, he wants human to live, to experience, and feel the essence of the divine in everything they do. Everything they do.
Well, it's an appreciation of everything, kind of almost like the Buddhists, Buddhists, right?
The Buddha had a different approach. I think the approach of Yeshua is more active, But again, I guess the teacher, when the teacher comes, it matches a certain time, a period in humankind development, and that's how it is. So let's look at the first pillar, the willingness. And again, it has 3 sides. Each of his pillars have 3 sides,
Okay, right.
Yeah, and the first side is the power, and it has to be dissociated from the stress and the egotic obsession. Okay, so this is not it's the will, it's the power, but not to just create a monstrosity, or to accumulate wealth or stuff like that. Then the second side is the courage, resulting of the right balance between the body, the soul, and the spirit. Again, you have to find a right balance between the 3 aspects. Okay,
right.
Not dedicate your life entirely to the body or to the spiritual or to the soul. You have
got to be that balance.
It has to be that balance. And he also wants to teach the centering of the being so that it can become a cup for the divine intention. We should never lose sight or never forget that we are a receiver of the divine, right? And that the divine has a certain intent and certain purposes for us.
Right.
And we have to turn our body into a cup capable of receiving that.
Right.
Yeah. And the third aspect of the willingness is the tenacity. You have to be able to persevere in the divine quest, which is also difficult.
It is. Yeah. It takes a lot of time, obviously, since he spends a lot of time in a lot of places by himself.
So the second pillar is love, of course, and for Yeshua, it's one of the most important. And he wants to reunite the 3 aspects of love. So, and the 3 aspects of love for Yeshua are the carnal and sensual aspect, right? Then there is the affection, the tenderness, the fondness, loving. And then the third aspect is the compassion, the sympathy, and the mercy.
Okay.
Okay. So those
that covers it.
Yeah. And most of the time, these three aspects are actually fighting against each other.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, the feelings are supposed to control the pulsion of the sensual, right? Or the carnal, right?
Right.
We say, oh, he's obsessed with sex or something like that, Don't you have any feelings, anything?
Right.
That's, again, fighting.
Yeah, okay. Right, I see that.
Contradicting each other, right? And then, you go all the way to the other side of the spectrum. The love of the divine is supposed to denigrate the other two aspects. Yeah, people are in church, are just, rejecting everything, right? Physical love, sensual love, no. Emotions, feelings, no. It's just God. No, it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
And Yeshua's vision of love cannot tolerate such fractures, and nothing must be contrary or enemy of other things. So he's wondering the following question, and I think it would be good for our audience to think about it. So who said that the flesh was dirty?
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Who said that the physical senses were opposed to the feelings? Who said that?
The controllers.
Who said that the love of the divine had to vomit the body and all that a soul could feel during its quest for wholeness? Okay. Again, these are his words.
Okay.
He used very complex, very sophisticated way of thinking, which is not easy to translate. Yeah. So who said it? Was it the hermits? Was it the monks? The doctors of the laws, which were, the priest in the Hebraic tradition?
Right.
Or the regular priest? Who are they to promulgate such separation? Who are they?
Yeah.
What is the basis?
Well, it was all about control, right?
Yeah. So Yeshua is thinking that all this, because he has been traveling outside of his body, and he has explored what is called matter and density, and flesh, of course. And what he saw is simply that matter is actually densified light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a very discrete and marvelous densification of the divine light.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
And so it seems logical to Yeshua that spirit could not get the consciousness of its true nature, until it goes through the transitory mold of the body, right? And the fields of expression of many lifetimes. And he's actually citing 100,000 lifetimes,
Oof.
which are
for him
states of soul. Okay, it made so much sense to him. So for spirit to know itself, because spirit is the highest, right?
Right.
To know itself, it has to accept to go into the mold of the physical body,
right?
And through that body, experience all the emotions, the feelings,
Right. Yes.
which are necessary. And that's really how you can, at the end, after so many incarnations and so many experiences, you can say, okay, yes, now I understand myself better.
Right. And I'm done now.
So this is why, we are still talking about the second pillar, the love, right?
Right.
This is why it is imperative to Yeshua to put an end to these imaginary borders, the sensual, the feelings, and then the spiritual, They are not borders. I mean, they can all merge together.
It'll be very beautiful, yes.
And because those borders are enslaving and dividing humankind,
Oh, and never getting the wholeness, right?
Yes,
Never
and
feeling
and preventing us from getting to the next level. Absolutely, yeah. And when you think about it, I just a thought that came to my mind. But people who have been studying the tantric yoga, which is a form of sexual expression and experience, I think tantric is actually one way to put together the three aspects of love: the sensual, the feelings, and the spiritual.
Right.
Yeah. That's an experience that very few people do, but it's a good practice, yeah. The third pillar, and the last for today, because it has been a long presentation, will be the patience, okay? And so again, we have three types of patience. We have a patience which is passive, which is submitted to time, which is a pretext sometimes and an excuse to hide the lack of engagement and the weakness of the consciousness. Okay? Yeah, we can say, oh yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, or some other time. I'm not in a hurry. Procrastination, yes,
right.
Exactly. We have another form of patience, which is the active, which is dynamic, intelligent, and which is using its inner force to condense a true power, like a wave in the sea holding its water, to rise higher. So that's a constructive and dynamic patience. Yeah. And finally, we have the patience, which is nothing else than a sacred let go of the personality facing a lot of adversity. Its wisdom is like the bird who is flying very high, seeing distance shorten, terrains are disappearing because it's so high, and a lot of impossibilities are revitalizing themselves. Okay? So this is a patience which, as you said, let go, right? You just surrender,
right,
knowing that something will come out of it.
Well, that's trusting in the plan, in the divine.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
it's very hard for people to do that.
It is very hard, yeah. And so after, months and months of solitude and meditation, Yeshua said, okay, will, love, and patience will be my three pillars. And that's what I will teach. And for the rest, Awun, the Creator, my Father, will guide me, and I will dress myself of Him. I will dress myself of divinity.
Beautiful. And He did.
That's it. So again, I apologize for the audience, but as we move forward, there will be more and more of this teaching,
right?
Because Yeshua is now thinking very hard about what he's going to do, and I think it's also very important for people to understand the real foundation of his teaching,
right.
So much what was reported later on, in books that we call Bible and other stuff.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it's to see who he was, and how he got there,
how he created and how he structured his teaching. And so we will get into more of that.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Love that. I love all those teachings.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.